Hello and welcome to the What Women Want Today podcast. You might be asking yourself right about now, well, what do women want? I mean, we're pretty complex creatures, right? Well, I think we want it all, and I'm here to explore it with you. My name is Terry Kellums. I'm your host. Go grab your favorite beverage. I've already got my glass of wine, and let's get started. Hello and welcome to this week's episode of What Women Want Today podcast. I'm your host, Terry Kellums. Today I have with me Sylvia Sunstrum. Did I say your last name right, Sylvia? Good.
You did.
Good. Sylvia is known as Sassy _ with style on Instagram. You can find her there talking about menopause and midlife. She is inspiring women to take control of their health and embrace menopause through education, empowerment, and humor. Sylvia, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me, Terry.
So Sylvia, we are connected through Instagram, like you make connections with a lot of women these days, correct?
Yeah. Yes, correct.
And we sort of both move in the space of just wanting to celebrate midlife instead of dreading it. And we're both here to encourage women to, just sort of make this the best part of their life. How do you feel you kind of set on this path? Like what got you to where you are right now?
Okay, we don't have a lot of time. There was a few things. So what got me into menopause and this path of midlife and menopause in the first place was that I had an oophorectomy 8 years ago.
And what is that?
An oophorectomy is the removal of your fallopian tubes and your ovaries.
Okay.
And so if we go back one more step, why did I do that? Well, I did that because I have a gene mutation called BRCA1.
Okay.
And what does that mean? So my mother passed away of ovarian cancer 16 years ago. And at the time, not a lot was known about ovarian cancer. And it's actually known as the silent killer. There aren't signs and there's no screening that can be done for ovarian cancer. So when you have it, when you have it, it's too late already.
Oh my gosh.
And yeah. So I wanted to learn all the information I could about that while my mom was going through the ovarian cancer. And then while she was going to the doctor, one time some doctor came and said, would you like to do this test? And it'll help your daughter. And of course she was, all about helping me and making sure I was going to be okay. And she said, sure. So she had passed before we got the results of the tests. And the results of the test were that she was a positive carrier for this gene mutation, this BRCA1. So what does that mean for her children? That means that we have a 50% chance of carrying this gene mutation. And the gene mutation in a nutshell basically means that I have a higher than average chance of getting ovarian cancer and breast cancer than the average female population. Mm-hmm. So it's increased my risk. So what can you do? Well, you can be preventive, you can be proactive. And one of the things you can do is have a double mastectomy and have your healthy breasts removed and have an oophorectomy and have your ovaries and your fallopian tubes removed as a prevention.
And that's what Angelina Jolie did, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
So a lot of times when I just say I have the gene mutation and then I go Angelina Jolie, people go, yes. Right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But she did it the other way. So she had her breasts removed. So she had a double mastectomy first. And then she, I guess, had her children. I was 49. I was finished having my children at that point. And again, to me, I could still screen for breast cancer. I felt that I was living a healthy lifestyle. I was trying to be preventive and proactive in the healthy lifestyle genre at that point. But I couldn't accept that there was no screening for ovarian cancer and that it would be too late already if I found out I had it. So that's why I went ahead and had this operation. So what happens with that is they remove your ovaries and your fallopian tubes and you are thrown into what's known as surgical menopause.
Yes. And I have not really talked about surgical menopause here on the podcast before. We've talked a lot about like what age did you go through it and that type of thing. So do you know, being a surgical menopause woman, what the differences are? Like what would you experience as a surgical menopause woman that might be different from a woman like me who went through it regularly,
right?
Quote unquote.
So, yeah. What is regular?
Right.
So even the word perimenopause, peri just means around,
Mm-hmm.
around the time. So a lot of women are saying, well, I don't know if I'm perimenopausal.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Well, if you're a woman and you're going to be going through menopause, you are in your 40s, possibly even 30s. Some women I've talked to, you are around the time of menopause,
right?
Which usually happens, 12 months after your last period. Well, TMI, but I literally had my period still the day that I went in for surgery. And so, I mean, I didn't experience any symptoms per se, like hot flashes or irregular periods. I mean, the periods were getting heavier as you get into your 40s, your periods change. So that would have been maybe a sign, but nothing like no hot sweats, no, I mean, I'm a loud person. I'm assertive, I'm whatever. Anyway, so that wasn't like mood swings, it wasn't crazy like that. When I actually had my ovaries removed, honestly, like that night, I was losing my mind. I was sweating profusely. I was like talking to myself, trying to calm myself down. My heart was racing. I was hot, I was cold. And then I chalked it up to the surgery because I hadn't ever had general anesthetic before. So I thought maybe it was the anesthetic. So I was trying to calm myself down, but oh my God, that year of going through that was a huge trial and error on my relationship with my husband, with my coworkers, with my kids. My coworkers were made up of more women. So it was easier for me to say, hey guys, I'm sorry if I'm losing it more than usual. This is what's happened. But with my husband too, like, he's like, why are you yelling? Like, I'm right here. You don't need to, and I just got so frustrated. And so I think with surgical menopause, to answer your question, everything at once. Whereas with someone going through menopause, it's gradual. It's little sprinkles here. It's little noticeable things there. It's changes there, which is what it should be. It should be like a normal thing that our body is going through. With surgical menopause, you have your estrogen levels are, and even your testosterone is affected. And a lot of women don't realize that we actually need testosterone. So it's a matter of that balance.
Yeah. So 2 questions there. We'll get back to the testosterone. So remind me if I forget, because, the menopause brain, right?
Yeah.
But so when you're a surgical menopause woman, do you talk about that to your girlfriends? Like, we talk about this on the podcast. Like, there are certain women who say, yes, I have this supportive group of girlfriends and women and coworkers and family members that I felt comfortable talking to about what I was experiencing. And just as many other women that say, no, I didn't really have anybody to talk to about what I was going through. So what was your experience with that?
My personality is, the more people I talk to, the more I can form an opinion for myself and educate myself and further go down into the education of asking questions from doctors, etc. Having said that, again, with the whole surgical menopause thing, the more I talked about it, the more women would come up to me and say, yeah, I had a hysterectomy 10 years ago. I know what you're going through, but it was all in a very quiet voice.
Like shameful.
That which shall not be named,
Right.
So I was just like, what do you mean? Like, and now I understand why my coworkers in their 50s and 60s that I was working with I live in a very cold place in Canada in the wintertime. It's like -45 with -2,000 windshield. Like, I'm kidding, but I mean, it's cold. It's flipping cold here.
Yeah.
And I'm walking in with my sorrels and my scarf and my hat and everything. And they've got their sandals on with bare feet. And I would look at them and go like, what is wrong with you? What is wrong with you? You'll find out, dear. You'll find out, dear. Yes. But everything was in a hush, hush voice. So until I started telling everybody, hey guys, I'm going for surgery. Hey guys, and la, la, la. But, my doctors told me that this was a preventative surgery and good for you. And you're being proactive, but nobody sat me down and said, hey, this is what you can expect after you have the surgery done. And would you like some counseling? Because maybe this is going to affect your relationship with your coworkers, your husband, your children, your whoever. And none of that None of that was
such
offered.
a crucial missing piece to this whole thing that women go through, right? Is where is the emotional and mental support for this? You know, we're still struggling, I believe, in our society to kind of embrace and make mental health a more of a normal conversation.
Yes.
So add to that a woman almost feels, you know, shameful, or that suddenly she's lacking in some way,
or less than,
like our usefulness has, you know, has been, you know, fulfilled, you know, like there's nothing left for us to do now, you know, sort of mentality. So I mean, that's you just hit the nail right on the head. We need more support when we're going through this. And you know what? Our husbands need it too. Because just what you said, you know, like all of a sudden he's seeing this different part of his wife that he's never seen before. And he's like, what the heck? Right.
Yes, very much.
A big clue for my husband when I was having a moment, I'll call it, is when we would be driving down the road. Now I live in Arizona, so, you know, our temperatures are nowhere near as extreme as yours, obviously, but it still gets pretty cold here in the winter for us people who experience 100 plus temperatures all summer. But we'd be driving in the car or in his truck in the middle of winter, and all of a sudden I would hit the little button to make the window go down. He would just kind of look over at me, and I just like be like, "Yep, it's happening," you know. And he felt compassion. I can tell that he felt, you know, like, oh gosh, she's going through this. This kind of it's awful and kind of sucks for her, but he didn't know what to do about it.
Yes.
You know, he didn't really know how to support me through it, you know. So.
Yes, absolutely. And I think because, you know, men like to fix things, right? They want to make things better. The conversation is that much more important too. Like sometimes you don't have to fix things. Sometimes I just need to vent at you. And this is what my body's going through. I have no control over it. Just sit there and listen to me vent. I know you're not my girlfriend, but this is going to affect you right now. And this is what's happening. Or stop talking to me. Please leave the room. I need to be by myself right now because I'm having a meltdown.
And, you know, and part of that is our responsibility to tell them when we're not in the middle of something, like, this is how you can support me in these moments, you know, and just having that communication. So while we're talking about men, it reminded me of my testosterone question, which is, so when you're surgical menopause, are you, and maybe this is a two-part question, if you're BRCA, right? BRCA?
Yeah, BRCA gene.
BRCA 1 or 2. Are you able to take HRT?
You know, that's a good question. And I think it's a personal question for all women. I just chose not to go that route. I just wanted to be as natural and experience it and go through it. You know, God bless my family as much as I could control it. So it was, like I said, a year of growth and learning and uncomfortable things. But I mean, I'm 9 years out now and I'm good. I'm good. But a lot of women will try to go the natural way per se, and then they can't. So they do have to go on the HRT just to get them over those mood swings or anxiety or whatever it is. Now, with relation to the actual BRCA gene and the HRT and all that stuff, I really don't know. I mean, it's a gene and a gene doesn't necessarily, like, it can be not manipulated. That's not the right word, but it isn't the end all be all. So just because I had this gene and it increased my chances, and in the end, I did end up getting breast cancer, but it doesn't mean that it's like I can't find the word. I don't want to say the death sentence. I hate that, but it's not like it's the ultimatum. Like, you know, you can lifestyle and environment and attitude and lots of combination of things still determine the outcomes of things. Absolutely, for your health.
Yeah. So here's what I've got for my audience today. 13% of the general population of women will develop breast cancer in their lifetime. It's hard for me to read these statistics. It really is. 55 to 72% who inherit the harmful. So this is what I understand about BRCA. When you are born with two sets of these genes. One you inherit from your mother and one you inherit from your father. No one is born with two sets of harmful, or what's the word? The likelihood that you will develop cancer because you have these genes, because those embryos most likely do not thrive and make it. So 45, let's see, so 55 to 72% who inherit the BRCA1, which is what you had, and 45 to 69% who have the BRCA2 will develop breast cancer by the age of somewhere between 70 and 80 years old. This is sad. And so you received that diagnosis, which I think a lot of women fear and wonder how they might respond to it. So thank you for being brave and coming on and sharing your story today. Is it less emotional for you now than it was back then? Are you able to?
Well, if you're going to get emotional, then I'm going to get emotional.
Sorry.
Because I'm an empath. I'll take that on.
Yeah.
Yes, it's less emotional because for me, I learned from it, and this is just my personal thing. I feel that what you put out into the universe, you get out. So because I kept saying, I don't want to get breast cancer, I don't want to get ovarian cancer, I don't want to, the universe is focusing on cancer.
Yeah. They're not hearing the don't part. They're just hearing the cancer part.
In my world, right? So I feel that there was a lot of healing to be done in my generation. My mom's mom, so my maternal grandma, they don't know. She passed away of a woman's disease. So let's call that ovarian cancer. Right. My mom passed away of ovarian cancer. My mom's sister has ovarian cancer, had ovarian cancer. So it stops here. It stops here. So I'm doing my healing. I'm doing my generational healing. And it was brought into my body for a reason. And I caught it very early on. It was stage 1. I found it. I do self-breast examinations monthly. And I've gone for mammograms every month as well since my 40s. Because of my history.
Every month or every year?
Oh, pardon me.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure.
Every year. God, check myself every month, go for mammograms once a year. And I found the lump and so it was like, to me, the universe saying, here you go. What are you going to do with this? You have to face this now. You have to face this. So what are you going to do?
Do you think you grieved? Do you think you went through like a grieving?
Oh, absolutely. Oh my God. I didn't sleep for probably a week. Everything went through my head. I was a mess. I felt, you're looking for answers, and it wasn't the why me. I knew why me in the sense that I carried the gene and gosh darn it, you got me kind of thing. But I was looking for answers. Okay, I have it. Well, that's it. We're done. Let's stop this. How are we going to stop this? What are we going to do? And because I wanted to work with a team that was a healthcare team, not just a medical Western medicine team. I wanted to work with an integral healthcare team. That was difficult because they don't like talking to each other, and I'm not going to say which one doesn't like talking to the other one. But so when I was talking to different naturopaths, etc., they were all, the main thing they said is, this is a scary thing. You need to process it, but you need to move on, because if you don't sleep and if you don't get your rest, your body is going to, not be able to heal itself. And right now you're in fight or flight mode, and you need to rest. You need to rest. And so I did grieve, and I grieved for everyone. I grieved for myself. I grieved for my future grandchildren. I grieved, for my children. I have 2 boys. So if I had perhaps daughters, it would be a different story. But I mean, they can carry the gene as well. Men do get breast cancer as well. But I grieve for everybody, my mom, my grandma. And then that's when I looked into generational healing and different modalities of helping myself to heal. Now I'm not out of the woods. I actually got a very aggressive form of breast cancer, which is known as triple negative breast cancer. So it's not hormone fed per se. And they like to, what I call, throw everything at it, even the kitchen sink. So, and with any cancer, the doctors give you a 5-year survival rate. So you have to get through that 5 years to be able to say, I beat cancer. But in my mind and in my heart and in my world right now, I've beat cancer. Cancer was here to teach me a lesson. I am learning. This is an ongoing process. It's a chapter in my life. but it is not going to consume my life.
And other than that, which you just said very beautifully, what other mindset changes do you think you or other women who have gone through this, what kind of mindset changes did that lead to? Like, did you start doing things differently? Did you live a little differently? Like, tell me about how that works for you.
I'm not sure if I lived a little differently, but I was more open to things. And even with my husband, like, you know, reaching out to angels, reaching out to my angels, looking at angel numbers around me. I got a book on how to communicate with your angels around you. And it came in Amazon, and I ran and I opened it up, and my husband's looking at me and he said, "Oh, you got a new book?" I said, "Yeah." And he says, "Let's see." And I showed him, and I was embarrassed for a second. And I said, "This is going to help me." And he said, "Whatever's going to help you, I am here for you." You know, so I think and it wasn't like I was hiding it. It wasn't like, you know, but still, like, I mean, I'm a religious person. I believe in God. I believe in spirit, and I believe in angels, and I believe in crystals, and I believe in the universe and everything that can help you. So I think I just opened up. I opened up more, and accepted things coming into my life as lessons or blessings, and looked at it that way.
I think that's beautiful. And it's something that I've talked about here before is, you know, like exposing yourself to resources. And maybe the first time you hear it, you might think, oh, and then you go, but what if? What if that is the thing that can, you know, make this change in my life? So I'm very open to that as well. And that's amazing and awesome. And your friends and family, I imagine, were a great support to you. It sounds like your husband was very supportive.
It was hard. I was diagnosed during lockdown. I actually lost my job.
Oh,
so
no.
I was at a job for 20 years. They discontinued my position. Then I was doing all the paperwork. I just squeaked by. I turned 55, so I squeaked by. And because I was in a unionized position, I could bump people. So I said, well, I'm not going to bump anybody. I feel horrible losing my job. How about me walking up to somebody and saying, "You're out, I'm in," because I have more seniority. So I asked if I could go for retirement, if I was eligible. So I was eligible for retirement. So I ended up retiring, and then got all the paperwork in place, and then was diagnosed with breast cancer. So not even able to really go back and use my benefits, if you will, for any of the treatments or you know, sick time or time off or anything like that.
Well, help us understand that a little bit. So being in the United States, you know, where our healthcare system is different than yours. So help us understand, those of us who live outside of Canada, how does that work for your healthcare system? So you had benefits through your job, but then there's also like
right, yeah. So I had benefits through my job. So if I was still working, I would have had a certain amount of paid sick time off, so I could have gone for my surgery and still been guaranteed my position to come back to, and taken that time off to heal and go through the surgery, and gotten paid a certain amount of time for that. And then any medications that I needed would have been paid at a certain percentage with regards to my spending account or my health account through work as well. Now, through losing that, we still have a healthcare system in place where we're not paying every time we go for surgery. So then I was covered under that umbrella. So, yeah, I mean,
so Canadian citizens have both a lot of times. Okay.
Yes, but a lot of times, so for example, the medication. So it depends on what you choose as well. So I chose to have a lumpectomy. So I chose to not have a double mastectomy, and I chose to have a lumpectomy. So they removed the cancer surgically in my breast. Now, if I chose to have a double mastectomy, then lots of medications, special surgical bras afterwards, things like that. All that stuff costs money, and that's not paid for. So that's all out of pocket.
Okay.
Would have been out of pocket. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So that's a big decision to have to make at that point.
And chemotherapy and things like that. So a lot of it is covered, but a lot of the medications aren't covered if you're not feeling well, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And Sylvia, so you have taken lemons and made lemonade, I like to say. And so I would love it if you would share how are you using your experience and your just overall outlook on life now to give back to other women? Share with my audience how you're doing that.
I just want other women to know that this is such a beautiful stage of our lives, and just like, you know, getting your menses and becoming a woman, and then if you have the opportunity to carry a baby and have children and be a mom is another beautiful stage and phase in our lives, and you know, celebrated. Menopause, midlife should be celebrated. Absolutely. It's another phase of our life. It's another chapter of our life. And a lot of women are living into their 80s. So imagine this is another 30 years of our life. Like, yes. This is great. This should be an awesome celebrated time. The kids are grown. You have a different relationship with your family. You maybe are a grandparent. You don't have your period anymore. You can go on vacation whenever you want.
Exactly.
You're an empty nester. I mean, you know, some women are just moving up in their career and deciding what they want to do. And it's not to be whispered. It's to be celebrated this time in our life. Absolutely. And like I said, I'm a coffee drinker. So actually I take lemonade and turn it into coffee.
There you go. I love that.
That's what I like.
I love
and
that.
I think just to live healthy and educate yourself, I think educating yourself and doing your own research is so important. Don't take anything at face value. Please do your own research and do what's best for you. And even if it turns out that that's not what's best for you at that time, that's the best decision you made at that time for yourself. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I noticed on Instagram, you are doing a summer lunch and learn program. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. So this summer, I started at the end of June, and we're going to go into August, Lunch and Learn. And it is based on menopause is. So there are so many symptoms of menopause. So each week I'm going to have a different guest on, and they're either by experience or by education, an expert at what they're talking about, and lots of great topics. And I've actually saved it in my feed, so you can go back to the very first one and play them. And they're all half an hour because, you know, I encourage people to go outside, go for a walk, put your earbuds in and listen to the live podcast.
Love it. And I said it at the beginning, but do you want to share again where they can find you on social media?
Sure. Sassy_with style.
Thank you so much, Sylvia, for being here. I have one last question for you today based on the name of the podcast, What Women Want Today. What do you think women want today?
Oh, whatever we can get.
It's a great answer. It's a great answer. I like to say, I think we want it all. So I think we should go.
We want it all.
Yeah. Very, very much so. Sylvia, thank you so much for being here with me today. I look forward to staying connected with you on Instagram.
Absolutely.
And enjoy the rest of your day.
Thanks, Terry. You too.
Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed today's conversation as much as I did. If you'd like to continue the conversation, come on over and join our private Facebook group, What Women Want Today. I'd love to hang out with you some more there. Any resources mentioned in today's episode will be in the show notes. You can find me on Facebook and Instagram at What Women Want Today Podcast, or visit my website at whatwomenwanttoday.com. Please remember to subscribe, download, and share. Leave me a review. It helps other amazing women find the show and become a member of our community. One last thing for you today. You are not alone. You are worthy of love and a fulfilled life. Now it's time to go after it.